For years, we assumed that physical labor was the most vulnerable to automation, but the reality is playing out in the exact opposite direction. Today, the roles facing immediate replacement are the highly educated white-collar professionals, the data analysts, and the software developers. This shift is driven by the move from generative to agentic AI. While standard chatbots simply answer questions, these newer systems operate in continuous loops of reasoning and planning. They autonomously navigate complex software, troubleshoot errors, and write code for 30 hours straight. When a company can replace a six-figure salary with a $20 software subscription that never sleeps, the basic contract of labor begins to dissolve. We have built an entire economy on the assumption that humans sell their time to afford their lives. But that assumption fails when human time is no longer the most efficient way to get work done. This creates a massive disconnect in our classrooms. Most modern education systems were designed to produce reliable workers by rewarding rote memorization and the ability to follow instructions perfectly. By training children to find a single, predetermined right answer, we aren't preparing them for the future. We are effectively engineering a generation to compete against machines on the one metric where humans will always lose. Despite how abstract this intelligence feels, it is grounded in a heavy physical reality. This growth is tethered to massive data centers and an appetite for electricity that can rival small nations. The true bottleneck for this evolution is hardware, specifically high-bandwidth memory chips. These physical components dictate exactly how fast an AI can process and recall information, effectively setting the speed limit for the arrival of general machine intelligence. As those bottlenecks clear, we face a paradox. Global productivity will likely spike as machines remove human friction, but since machines don't buy products, the demand for human labor and the wages that drive our consumption is likely to drop. In this environment, relying on a paycheck becomes a high-risk strategy. Financial survival requires shifting our focus away from selling our labor and toward owning the assets that produce the value. This is why some are proposing universal basic compute. Instead of a cash dividend, every citizen would own a fractional share of the global processing power, which they could use to build their own tools or lease back to the companies that need it. If you simply can't outwork the infrastructure, the only logical move is to own a piece of it. This shift makes the old educational focus on information retention completely obsolete. There is zero market value in a human memorizing data that an AI can recall instantly and perfectly. This breakdown shows the new division of labor. The machine, represented here by the robot icon, functions as a tool that provides the information. The human brain, however, remains the final arbiter, the entity responsible for judgment and decision-making. Survival in this transition means walking away from the rules of the previous century. We have to stop training to be the repositories of facts and start training to be the directors of the systems that hold them. We are moving into a baseline where the human role is no longer to execute a task, but to manage it. We are becoming the directors of a digital workforce, responsible for setting the goal and evaluating the result. That managerial role requires a specific kind of emotional communication. While a machine can mimic a script, it cannot replicate the deep empathy or the trust built through eye contact and shared vulnerability, the things that actually hold a team or a client relationship together. We also need cross-boundary creativity. AI excels at finding patterns within a specific set of data, but it struggles to bridge entirely unrelated fields. Humans can pull a concept from history and apply it to modern engineering in ways a machine would never think to prompt. Perhaps most importantly, we need human proactiveness. An AI is passive, it waits for a prompt. The human advantage is the initiative to identify a problem before it's been labeled and the courage to pursue a solution without a pre-written manual. These traits move the human from a predictable cog to a navigator who can handle the unpredictable elements of relationships and novel ideas. Even technical skills like mathematics take on a new meaning. As this whiteboard shows, the focus shifts to conceptual logic, understanding the core idea, connecting it to others, and being able to explain the why. Math is no longer about calculating answers, but about building a logical plan for a task. Then there is human intuition. Because AI is trained on data, it is strictly limited to what has already been expressed in words or images. But an enormous portion of human knowledge, our instincts, our ability to tell a story, even our sense of play, is never written down. This unverbalized intuition is our ultimate moat. It is the 90